I'm going to open the screen from the Reconnect for the chart. And if someone
Okay.
asks the question, I'm going to answer from there. Your screen is not getting disturbed, right, Lisa? Because I'm controlling some different browser from here.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, all good.
They can hear us.
You can hear us, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm just talking with my co-presenter. Welcome. We'll be starting in a minute or two. Just waiting for those, people to get that last cup of coffee to be able to stay awake for this late session. Okay, I'm just going to give it another minute to let people come in, and then we will start. I know for some of you, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this day just has to end, it's so late. But for us, it's, for me, it's 2 o'clock. So it's still the middle of my day.
Yeah.
Okay, it seems to have slowed down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. My name is Lisa Chow. I'm a product manager director for absence management and other products. So today we're going to be talking about extended absences in PeopleSoft using absence management. Co-presenting with me is Varma. Okay, I won't even try the last name because I'm sure I'll butcher it.
Yeah, Kuchelapati.
There you go.
Yeah.
From Spear MC, he's a PeopleSoft Senior Functional Consultant. Varma, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, myself, Madhav Kuchelapati, you can call me as Varma. So I've been working in PeopleSoft for the last 16 years, especially on absence for the last 10 years. And I've implemented many colleges on the East Coast and some state clients as well. So I do have some solid implementation experience, especially for the universities and all the for all the federal and state clients as well. Yep, and I live in Dallas, Texas, and you can call me as Verma for the ease of communication. Yeah, to you, Lisa.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so just an overview, we're going to talk about what is an extended absence. I'll do a demonstration of the process, and then Barbara will take over and walk you through the configuration and give you some tips and tricks from his experience as an implementer. Then we'll take questions. Okay. So extended absence is, there's a lot of different types of extended absences that are legislated through globally. So we have things like FMLA in the US, which I'm sure we're all familiar, or most of us are familiar with. And there's also stuff like statutory sick pay, parental leave, maternity leaves, childcare leave, and educational leave. So that's just some of the types. And these are normally legislated leave where people are able to take leave, either paid or unpaid. It differs depending on the type of leave and the country. But it's to track, that request and being able to, approve, put approvals in for those requests. So some of the features of the extended absence framework. So this is a framework. So all of those leaves could be put into this framework. So some of the features are the ability to configure multiple templates. So even though you have like FMLA, we have more than one type of FMLA leave, right? And you may have different information that you want to gather for each. You may have different rules. So you're able to configure multiple templates. You can configure attachments. So you can say what types of attachments they can do. They can do multiple attachments. You can specify the roles that can view those attachments. And this is integrated with AWE, the approval workflow engine. So you can set up approvals. So for instance, you can have, it approved by an administrator, and you could send like notifications to a manager when it's approved. So it's, you guys probably very familiar with AWE and know it's very highly configurable. There's a robust roles-based security framework where you can create separation between administrators and managers. Part of that is through the pages they can see, as well as through the approvals. And there's also self-service capabilities. So employees are able to go in and request a leave and track the status of that request. And then eventually they may be able to, in the case of FEMA, which is an unpaid leave, they could go and attach paid leave to that. So the basic extended absence flow is that the employee requests it. It goes to the administrator to review. Then it goes back to the employee. They receive the approval notification. They can submit their sick or vacation or paid absence. And that then again can go through approvals. So let's do a demonstration. And I'm in the right database, so that's a good thing. So here I'm going in as Liam Gray. I'll go into the time tile, or which the time dashboard actually. And here there's a tile for extended absence requests. So he already has one for a surgery, but he knows already that he's going to have to do a follow-up surgery to this. So he wants to go ahead and request that as well. So he's going for a medical, FMLA medical. And let's launch it. So we've created an activity guide. Actually, we've created two activity guides, but an activity guide to walk the employee through this process and through submitting their request. So he knows he's going to have to go for another surgery in January. So he's going to be out from the 9th, and he's expected to be out for 3 weeks. So let's go to, oops. 9th, 1, 2, 3, be back on 30th. He's going to go for surgery. You could say, he could put in a comment to the administrator and save this. Then he can move to the next step. You like that little jazzy move? I have to say that was unintended. I don't know why it does that, but it does. So here you have sections that they can validate. So dates that they could fill in, whether it's a chronic condition, and all of this is configurable. Varma will show you how to configure it. You can ask things like, does their spouse work for the company? Because in the case of like parental leave, sometimes that parental leave is shared between the two parents. So it might be important to know whether the spouse works for them. So you can, as I said, configure, what fields you want to show up here. And then you can validate the sections to make sure that they're valid. Comes back, he is eligible for FMLA. So it shows that he's got time and how much he requested. We'll go to next. He can add an attachment. So it works like every other attachment. In this case, we only have one attachment configured, so we won't ask him the type. Oh, I will just pick anything and upload it. And he can say, you know, doctor's note. And we save this, and this is where you'll see that the administrator can see the attachment. So we go to the next step. He verifies that the information is correct and that the attachment is there, and he submits. I thought about quitting a little earlier than that. So here he can see what approvers are there. So he knows that Betty Lockerty can approve, Rosanna Channing, Andy Lee. So those are all the absence administrators. So now I can go in as an absence administrator. Hi, I'm Andy Lee. And I will get a notification here. I can also see it on the approvals tile, but let's go in through the notification. And because it's faster. So we basically see, you can see information such as a leave policy. We can see the medical certificate here. This is the doctor's note that he attached. We could open it up and view it. You can look at the eligibility as an administrator and validate sections again, or return, but since we've already validated that. And if this had already been approved, you could see absence requests here. So we see that he had saved it and then submitted it. I said, yep, this all looks good. I'll go ahead and approve it. Then I'll go back in as Liam. And if we go back to extended absences, we can view the status of this absence request. So we saw the first one, this is the second one. We can see that it's approved, but he has not attached any absence requests to it yet. But he wants to, so he wants to make sure that some of it is covered with a paid leave. So he wants to go ahead and add an absence. And he has vacation. So maybe he doesn't have it he doesn't want it for the whole time, but he definitely wants it for the first week, assuming that he may not be able to walk. So this was originally for an ankle surgery. And I actually know somebody who had an ankle surgery. So I can tell you, they don't walk a lot during that first week. Okay, and so he can check eligibility, add an attachment, which doesn't really need to because we've already done it. And we can submit. Okay. And then we go back in as the administrator. So here you can see different parts. You can see the eligibility, you can see his approvals change, you can see his request of history. But then just the last piece to do is going in back in as the administrator to go ahead and approve this absence. We can do it one of two ways. We can actually go back to, actually, let's go into administer extended absence. Because using the menus on the side is so last year, right? Okay. So as an administrator, I can see anything that's pending. Oh, there are no requests. I should have looked at this earlier. So let's go and look at the approved. I can say, well, I know it's for Liam. Let's search. We see both of his. We see that it was approved. And we can either at this point, if it wasn't approved, we could approve it from here, or we can go in and edit it. But here we see the absence request. And we can go in and edit this or approve it. Okay. So there's two ways and for an administrator to look at the extended absence. This is the main way, is to go through the administer extended absence, but they can also go and look at it when they're doing the approval. Okay. And that's what I had. Let me bring up the slideshow again. Okay, you want to take it, Pharma? Well, let's look at configuration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good masterpiece from Lisa. So Lisa has pretty much explained how an employee, an administrator, gets into the leave cycle of an absence request. So now we are going to explain, or we are going to dive into the high-level configuration of what exactly that needs to be done, in order to display the form, or in order to attach, if you want to attach 2 or 3 attachments for the employees or the administrators, right? So, and there are different things that, we can discuss at the configuration level, and we can also attach some security, security aspects whenever an employee is going to attach any document, or whenever administrator is going to view any information that related to an employee. So let's start with the common concepts that we come across for the configuration for extended absence. So I'm going to jump into the system now. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to first walk through the absence take configuration. So absence take is the common configuration that is, that is common across FMLA or a non-FMLA. So absence take is nothing but an absence event, is also a terminology that used in absence management, and you can also call it as an absence take. So let's go and understand how do we start configuring an extended absence or a standard absence as well, because the concept which I'm explaining is common to any absence management configuration. So absence take is the place where we are going to start the configuration. So an absence take configuration, it is attached with an absence entitlement as well. So let me explain you what are the different aspects of the absence management, our absence take configuration. So an absence take consists of an absence entitlement. Okay, so let's understand what is an absence entitlement. I'm going to go through the absence entitlement configuration now. So absence take is a parent configuration, and absence entitlement is like a child configuration that gets attached to an absence take. Because for any take, you have to give an entitlement whether are you going to give 480 hours for a year or 450 hours for a year based on based on the business requirement. So I'm going to jump to the absence entitlement now. Okay, so this is the configuration that we do for the absence entitlement. So for every absence entitlement, we give an entitlement by using some supporting elements like formulas. So now let me jump into the formula. So formula is nothing but a mathematical calculation of achieving your entitlement amount. So based on that, you configure a formula. So in this case, right, so absence entitlement, suppose if you're going to give an employee of 480 hours for a span of 1 year, right? So this is a place where you actually go. I'm not going to explain you, the deep things into the formula, but you can use your own formula as well. But there are some delivered formulas as well, which are very, very well written. You can use those formulas as well. And an entitlement derives, like I said, an entitlement derives what's the actual balance that an employee gets entitled whenever an FMLA is started. You know? So that's nothing but an absence entitlement. So coming back to an absence take, so let me explain you about what are the different aspects that an absence take has. So number one is absence take is linked to an absence entitlement. An absence entitlement is it gives an entitlement of 480 or 450 hours accordingly. And apart from that, you can also have some additional configuration, like whether if you want to allow negative balance, or if you want to stop the balance at zero, and if anyone requests any absence after employee reaches zero, you can take those as an unpaid time. You can configure absence take accordingly. So some of the customers wants to use a negative leave, even though if the balance reaches zero, they want to make it as a negative. They want to go -8, -16 accordingly. So again, if you want to use negative balance of leave, right, you can also have a stop limit. How much negative balance that I want, if I want to employee to allow, some employees, you can restrict some employees to -40 or -20, you can write a formula and you can restrict the negative balance accordingly. And there is one more very important concept in absence take is if you're going to allow duplicates, if you want to allow the same absence take to be requested on the same day, right? So let's say you have requested a FMLA leave, and on the same day you have requested some other leave, in general, right? So if you have requested a vacation leave on 5th January 2022, and you can request a sick leave on 5th January 2022. So this is where you select that. If you select this option, then you can request multiple takes on the same day. That's what exactly this particular feature says in absence take. And like Lisa has shown you, right? So we also have some forecasting features. You can also display some additional information to an employees whenever an employee is eligible or ineligible for an absence. Like if you're requesting an FMLA, right? So you can also show them how much vacation balance or how much sick balance or how much paid balance the employee has in currently. So you can show any kind of information that's required to show to any employee when requesting an absence. So this is all about forecasting. What kind of information do you want to, what kind of additional information you do want to display to the users, So these were the various concepts of absence take. And there is one more integration concept as well. So if you're integrating absence with time and labor and then payroll system, so this is the place where you send any kind of information to the time and labor system. If you want to send it as a paid unit, or if you want to send it as an unpaid unit, you can. This is a place where you exactly do it. So this configuration applicable to all the kinds of leaves, including FMLA. So that's about absence take. Now let me jump to the forecasting. How do you set up a forecasting calendar? Like if you see the Lisa has requested leave, some of the leaves in 2022 and some of the leaves in 2023. So there is some background setup that needs to be done for that. So let me show you that. So you have to go to the calendar groups, calendar groups page. And there are some forecasting calendars over here. So you can select any forecasting calendar here. So this is a place where exactly you have to configure. Let's say if you want to allow all the employees to request leave in 2023 or 2024, you have to allow. Let's say if you're setting, you have a calendar for a monthly, right? So you have a calendar from Jan to December. And if you want an employee to allow to request an absence from self-service from 2023 Jan to 2023 December, this is a place where you add all those calendars. So by adding those calendars, it will make the employee, to request absence based on those, based on the calendar dates. So that's very important if you're using self-service.
And don't worry, these calendars can be built automatically. You set up parameters and it can build a whole year, and it can also attach it to the right calendar group. So all of that, it has automated processes. So it's not quite as daunting as it looks.
Yeah, in general, right? So if you want, let's say if you are using bi-weekly calendars, you have to add 26 calendars in a year, right? So we have an automatic calendar creation, and you can create all the calendars in less than a minute, all the 26 calendars in less than a minute because of the automatic features we have. So that's one of the automatic features, and we have automatic calendar groups creation as well. If you want to combine all the calendars, and then if you want to group it, we call it as a calendar group, and you can also create automatic calendar group as well. So we have a lot of features now in absence management. And let's go back to the FMLA concepts now. And if you remember that Lisa has shown us the forms, let's discuss about how do we design those forms. What are the fields, that needs to be enabled and that needs to be disabled. Like when I implemented absence management for some of the customers, right, they used to have a physical form. They used to have some 10 fields, 5 fields on the left side and 5 fields on the right side. And you can exactly design the same way that, that you have a physical form. You can design the same way in your system as well. So that's a very good transformation for people who are using physical FMLA forms, for filling any kind of things, So let's go to the how do we design a form, So we do have some process flow for that. So the main goal is we have to set up a template. Template will have a form. So let me extract one of the form that we have in your system and what Lisa has used for the demo. So this is one of the template which we have used. And in a template, we'll have sections. Template is nothing but a combination of sections. So if you want, you can design 2 or 3 forms and you can display to the users as well. So it's not only a single form. If you want to design a medical form, you can create it accordingly. If you want to add 1 more or 2 or 3 forms, you can do it accordingly. So this is how you actually design a form, So it will ask you what are the fields that I want to be displayed in the form. You can add all the required fields, and you can also select whether I want my field to be on the left side of the page or on the right side of the page, So these were the different things that PeopleSoft, the attach, we call it as the template feature, especially for the FMLA, we use the template feature, especially for the FMLA. And you can also specify the sequence number as well. Just like your physical form, if you want a field to be at the last of the right side, then you can name it as a sequence 14 or accordingly, and you can also specify some default values as well. And you can also tell whether it is actually a required field or not. So you can design it, it's very user friendly. It's very flexible. And also the more important thing is it has a security feature as well. So just remember this form, the section name of this. So that's the main feature as well, because FMLA has a lot of security features tied to it, and security is one of the main feature for FMLA. So let's go to the section and see how can we restrict this to a specific set of users, you know. Yeah. So now let's go to the configuration where I show you, you know, how do we restrict this FMLA, whether I want to give read access to an employees and write access to the administrators. Let's go to the configuration now. So this configuration, we call it as a country take for absence take. So this is the centric point for all the configurations, you know, and this is a place where the self-service configuration also starts, or we call it as a centric point. So let me pick up the FMLA leave. So I will explain you the configurations here. So if you want to give display only access, right? So you can select the authorization levels as well. So that's a kind of security that PeopleSoft Absence Management enables to the users. You know, you can give various security levels based on the employee access as well. You know. So that's about the forms. And now let me explain you about attachments. Uh, and if you see, the Lisa has, has uploaded some attachments, you know. So now I'm going to explain you about how do we configure an attachment, and you can add any number of attachments. And if you remember that Lisa has also shown you and some attachments and some links as well, you know, if you want to update, let's say you have some new FMLA federal rules, you know, if you want to update to all the users, you know, this is, you can also attach all the FMLA FAQs or all the FMLA policies. I'm going to show you that. So this is a place where you actually define whether it is an attachment or if it is a link. So if it is an attachment, you select as an attachment. You know, if it is a URL, you can also display the URLs as well. So there are different ways of uh, you know giving access to the users. Different types of attachment features. You know, I call it as, you can upload, you can click on a specific link, or you can download the FAQs, or you know, any kind of things. You know. And also this is a place where you actually give security access as well. So let's say you have a manager as a reviewer, right? So, and you do not want manager to view all the details that's been entered by an employee, because FMLA is a federal leave, right? So you can restrict manager to not see any kind of attachments that requested by an employee. If you can give the security access as well. You know, if you want to display only to employees and administrators, you know, all you have to do is you have to just remove the the manager, and you can make the communication between both the parties as well. So that's the attachment feature as well. So coming back to the attachments, right? So let me explain you one more important thing. So whenever you are defining an attachment, so you can also tell whether an attachment needs to an edit access for an employee, or write access for an employee, or for the same for the administrator as well. So you can select your respective options, you know, whether you want to view access, whether you want to write access, you know, edit access, all these kind of features that's been available in absence management, where you can configure at your own hand, and you can give the authorization levels as well. So we have seen the templates, and we have seen the attachments. So these were the two important things that drives the FMLA framework, you know. And many of the customers ask about, hey Verma, how I want to have a different form. I want to have 3 or 4 forms. For a medical leave, I want a different form. And for adoption leave, I want a different form. It all varies on the business requirement. So next, coming to let me explain you about how the FMLA functions. Now we have seen the configuration side of it. Now we are going to see how the FMLA leave gets processed. Now Lisa has requested a leave of 10 hours or 12 hours, right? So now let me explain you how an FMLA leave gets processed and how an entitlement gets processed for all the employees. And if you have any questions, you can always type in the chat, and we can always answer those questions as well. So now let me go back to the absence day configuration. So in the absence day configuration. So I'm going to start with the FMLA medical leave. So if you remember that we have just like base benefits, right? So you're going to enroll some employees for the base benefits similarly, right? So for some kind of leaves, you can write some specific codes. For medical leave, you can code it as FM03, and for leave, which is a fixed leave, right? So some FMLA leaves or some extended leaves, I do not want to call it as an FMLA leave. I want to call it as an extended leave because that's a standard terminology. Some leaves has a fixed start date. They start on now January and they end on December. But some leaves have a rolling, and some leaves have a rolling capacity. Rolling forward and rolling backward capacity. So for the leaves that are rolling forward, where we call it as a rolling forward FMLA, especially FMLA medical leave, we call it as a rolling forward. The reason why is because we do have three main features. The employee should be eligible for 1250 hours. Employee should work for at least 1 year, and employee should deplete all those 480 hours, and then there should be a gap of 1 year of rolling forward, and then employee has to start a new FMLA leave. So these were the kind of things that we have taken into the consideration while FMLA gets configured. So FM03, and just remember the code name. And if you go back to FMLA maternity leave, it's FM03 because it's a roll forward kind of leave. So all those FMLA configurations, right? So let me explain you about what are the configurations we used. We used to evaluate or come to a calculation of, okay, this employee accrues 480 hours, or this employee accrues 60 days, according to a business requirement. So in the old days, right, if you use base benefits, you go to the base benefits, you enroll for an employee and you give FM01 or FM02 or FMLA. Oh, this employee has to fall into the FMLA leave, right? So here it's very simple process. All you have to do is during the configuration, you have to give some code name, and then and then the system will take care of from there. So if you see here, just like I explained, right? So the brackets store some static information. So that's the main uses of bracket. Any kind of information that you want to store, just like in a table, right? So you can store any number of information in the brackets. So bracket is a kind of supporting element, just like formula, and we can use this information for processing in a formula. Okay. So I'm going to jump to the next bracket. We call it as an FMLA eligibility requirements. All these brackets are delivered brackets, and you can configure your custom brackets based on a requirement. And we have configured n number of times, in my past implementations as well. So here, all we are saying is for FM03, we are saying, okay, the eligibility, this is a place where you do an eligibility check. When Lisa has clicked on validate sections on the FMLA page, so this is a place where it actually validates how many hours, how many works the employee has to work. 52 weeks. An employee has to earn 1250 hours, and these hours were taken from pay hours. Whatever the pay gets calculated, right? So from pay earnings or PS pay earnings and PS, there is special accumulators as well. So all this information will be taken at the back end. The formulas will take care of, where you have to write your formulas, but some of the formulas are delivered. You can always use those. Um, so this is a place where you actually configure the FMLA eligibility. And this is, and you, all we are concerned about FM03, you can configure your eligibility based on the state level. If you want, you can configure based on the location level as well, because FMLA is some states has a different, they give some additional entitlement as well, and some local bodies as well. Not only the federal body, they do have a state body and they do have a local body, and you can specify. This is a delivered bracket as well. So if you want, you can modify it, or you want to create a new bracket, and you can name it accordingly. So this is named based on a state. Okay, this is Kansas, and this is this is Kentucky, California, Georgia, Colorado. So let's take an example of Colorado. So all we are saying is 12. This employee is eligible for 12 weeks, and additional of 2 weeks, and additional of 1 week. So total of 12 plus 2 plus 1, 15 weeks. And these 15 weeks will be multiplied accordingly based on the schedule hours, or based on the work hours. 15 weeks is 15 into 7, and 105, and 105 into 8, based on the multiplication you can do accordingly. So this is how whenever an employee clicks or an administrator clicks on validate sections, this is the place where the entire entitlement gets calculated. And this is a delivered piece, and different clients have different requirements. So you can always stitch it up according to your own requirements. But this is how the delivered system works. So yeah, and that's it about the FMLA configuration. And if you see I want to show one more thing as well. If you see, the Lisa has selected some absence reasons as well. So you can you can also define your own action reasons as well. So you can create any number of absence reasons as well. So you can, as of now it's only 3, but you can, if you want, you can modify it, or you can add a new absence reason, and you can display it to all the users accordingly. So this is how the high level an FMLA leave gets configured. Yeah, over to you, Lisa.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing.
Oh, that's okay. I'll just take it back.
Yeah. There you
go. Okay.
And if you have any questions, you can always type in the chat, and I'm open to answer.
Right. So what we've done is we've included that information that Varma just went over, so that you have, and we'll I'll upload this PowerPoint to Pathable once this session is done. And so you have it for your reference here. We give you the navigation, as well as some information on it, and then a screenshot going through it, explain, what day formulas are, what to look for. Let me just get through this. Armin did a good job of showing it to you live, so we don't have to show this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to go through this?
Yeah, sure, Lisa. I'm just answering some of the questions in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, so these were the common customizations that I have done in my past 7 to 8 implementations for many of the clients. So the workflow, the approval framework, right? So some people ask, hey, Verma, I want. So the delivered approval framework is, it works in such a way that an employee requests an absence and it routes to an administrator. But if you want to add a manager as a party as well, even for the notifications, the delivered system doesn't support that. Even for the notification, it doesn't support that. So you have to configure, first of all, you have to configure a role. So this is the customization that you have to do. You have to configure a role and make sure that an employee, whenever employee requests a leave, and just a notification sent to a manager, just a notification, no any kind of without any kind of sharing any kind of information. So this is a common customization many people use, and in the same customization, right? So if you see, Lisa has requested a paid leave as well. Whenever Lisa requested a paid leave, it follows the same approval framework mechanism as an external absence. But some users do not want that. They just want paid leave to be routed to the managers, or to the manager and then to administrator. So this is a kind of customization that many customers, and some of the customers have asked for that. And this is, you know, these are the common things that you come across during the implementation. Yeah, the next one, Lisa. Yeah, so concurrent leaves, right? FMLA doesn't support concurrent leaves, right? So let's say if you request an FMLA in a window, right? So if you request an FMLA from 1st Jan to 10 Jan, and if you request a military leave with from 1st Jan to 10 Jan, the rules will not understand which one to take. And first of all, the delivered system do not have that capability of concurrent leaves, and this is kind of a big not I do not say it's a big customization, but it's kind of common customization that many people have, especially the clients on the west coast do have some kind of this requirement. I've seen in some of the colleges, and they do ask for these kind of especially for the concurrent leaves.
Barma, one of the common things that customers ask me about is if they have they want the take to go to take from the FMLA, the federal FMLA, and a state FMLA. Is this what this is about also? Does this cover it?
Yeah, I mean, so your question, let me understand your question. So you're saying some of the whenever an employee requests FMLA leave, right? So you're asking some of the we want employee to give access so that they can select whether it's a state FMLA
No.
or federal FMLA.
The take should go up against both of them, the federal FMLA program and the state FMLA program. They can run concurrent.
Oh, okay. But this one we can achieve through this requires a little customization as well, and it's a 20% customization and 80% of the rules, because the rules plays a major role in detecting from the respective buckets. Yeah,
Okay.
but it still requires some customizations. I think you're correctly saying it still requires some customizations as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so FMLA validation, right? So some of the companies have a different policy apart from the federal policy. They want to have some. They do have some additional requirements as well. Apart from the federal eligibility, they want to add their own, own eligibility. The people have a different business units, or people have a different locations, right? So if you want a business unit to have a different validation, another business unit have a different validation, and this is the common place where most of the clients also ask for the federal validation, for the FMLA validation as well. And this is one of the flexible customization as well. I call it as a flexible customization, because the most of the methods and most of the application classes were all delivered. Only thing is you have to add here and there to add your own customizations. But this is a pretty much flexible customization, if you ask me, compared to all the customizations. Okay, so some of the people wants to link with base benefits, right? So some of the people, they're still enrolling employees in a FMLA plan or in a military leave plan. So PeopleSoft do not have a delivered interface to integrate with base benefits. So what we can do is we can by writing some rules. It's a kind of not a code customization. It's a kind of rule customization. So you have to get the data from base benefits, and you have to first see if an employee is actually enrolled in that benefit leave plan. And based on that leave plan, you process the eligibility accordingly. So this is one of the common customization as well, and it's pretty much can be done from the rules instead of writing a code. So that's the beauty of absence, right? So you can eliminate most of the code customizations, and you can achieve through rules customizations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last one.
Yeah, that's the last one. So this is one of the common customization, right? So whenever you request an FMLA, you want an automatic row to be created on a job data, which the PeopleSoft do not have that. I think we are still in the development phase of that. So so this is a kind of automatic process, maybe a day, a batch process where if you enter 10 leaves or 10 FMLA leaves for 3 months or 4 months or 2 months period, and you want an automatic effective date, adding an automatic row on the job data. So this is also one of the common customization that we use.
Okay.
Yep. There are still many, but these were the common customizations that many people ask.
Okay. So we did have a few questions here. So is it possible to edit the start end date of the parent leave request?
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, it's a pretty much possible, common thing as well, because that's why we call it as an extended absence framework, because we are not sure when an employee is going to return back. You can keep on extending, let's say an employee went to a maternity leave, and employee wants to extend for another 3 months. All you have to go is go to that administer absence page and click on the edit, select the approved leaves, click on the edit, and you have to just modify the end date accordingly. That's it.
Okay. Is it possible to add rules to choose limited absence types for extended absences?
Yeah, I think I just forgot to mention this point as well. This is a kind of common customization as well, because some people wants to have only vacation sick to be displayed. They do not want other leaves to be displayed. So this needs a little bit code tweak, which we have done as well in my past clients. So in my past clients, they ask me where I want to use only the paid leaves like vacation leave or sick leave or personal leave, right? So they can enable only those 3 leaves with a little bit customization, and they can always achieve that particular functionality.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I think that was all the questions that we had. So a couple more slides and you guys can go for those margaritas. So just some information here to include. If you want information on PeopleSoft, there's a lot of resources out here on the peoplesoftinfo.com. You can get to blogs where we talk about a lot of this information. You can watch VFOs and have the delivered features. This is like my #1 favorite thing. So the CFO tool, where you can see between this version or this image and this image, what's all the features that came out in your product area that you want to know about. And then here you can get to our blogs. So that was it. Thanks. Here's some our contact information. If you have questions following this, feel free to reach out to either Varma or myself, and have a happy rest of your day and rest of your conference. We'll see you guys soon.
See you all. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.